Sometimes life challenges require us to step out of our comfort zone, to go beyond the limits of what we felt was possible, and on that path to find new depths of who we are and who we are becoming. That day was Hyrox London 2023. This is that story, here to inspire you on yours. It's a story of grit, perseverance, setbacks, and overcoming the odds to cross that finish line a different person than I started on that path 6 months before. Everyone's got a plan till they step out on the track. Lights, music, MC, and action. Everyone's Hyrox race starts in the holding pen. Then we are off and into the first 1 kilometer run. At this point of the race, adrenaline is high and my main priority is making sure I'm not going out too hot, hard and fast, keeping that heart rate low and a comfortable pace to keep those legs fresh for the big workout stations that are yet to come. At Hyrox London Olympia, you complete 3 and a bit laps of the outer running track before heading into the first exercise station. On the ski erg, my aim was to avoid gassing out, so took a steady pace. In hindsight, I could have and likely should have pushed a little bit harder on this station. Then back out onto the track for the next 1 kilometer split. Here I'm bedding in and looking to slightly improve on that 1 kilometer split run time, but also making sure I'm going into the next exercise station as fresh as I can, which is the sled push. At just over 150 kilograms, this is the heaviest exercise station. Here I was pleasantly surprised with the grip that the carpet in the Hyrox race venue offered in comparison to the material below the sledge in the gym I've been used to in training. Now that's not to say that pushing the sledge was any easier. The optimum technique I found worked for me with the Hyrox event leg was gripping the sledge as low as possible and then leaning my torso and upper body as far forward as possible up and over the center of the sledge to get that sledge moving. Gripping it in the lower portion also helps stop the sled lifting off the ground at the front. Here I took a good 20 or so second rest at the end of each 12.5mm length push. What is critical throughout this exercise, and is something I practice in training, is making sure you're breathing in and out while pushing the sledge and maintaining a braced core position. It takes a big toll on your body pushing the sledge, and making sure you're getting enough oxygen to the muscles as you push is critical. Overall, I was pleased with the pace of the sledge push. I went through each 12.5mm segment unbroken. Taking that extra few seconds between lengths meant I was able to push through and harder on each push, even managing to catch up with 1 or 2 athletes slightly in front of me. From here, through the rock zone and back onto the track for another 1 kilometer run. At this point of the race, the legs are feeling heavy, so it's a slow exit from the rock zone and the first heart of the first lap, before picking the pace up slightly for the final 2/3 of the kilometre and then into the sledge push. I didn't have the best of starts here. My rope had somehow got twisted, meaning the sledge was initially being pulled off an angle across the sledge floor. A marshal did step in to fix the rope twist, but by now I'd lost 20 to 30 seconds. Putting that to one side, this was one of the key stations that felt tougher than in simulation trainings I'd done. This caught me by surprise, as I've been training with 120 kilograms, so around 20 kilograms more than the race day weight. I put that difference down to a number of reasons. Firstly, that green felt-like material you often see sledges on in gyms is more slippier than the carpet the sledge sits on Hyrox event day, and while that had been beneficial in the sledge pull, giving me a much more grip with my feet, but on the pull it meant the sledge felt much heavier and getting it moving took a lot more effort. Similarly, the rope that's attached to the pull seemed significantly more heavier than the lighter battle rope I'd used to drag the sledge in training. All of this added up, and similar to the sledge push, I took a 20 to 25 second break between my lengths to catch my breath. And finally, with 4 lengths done, it was back out onto the track for the third 1 kilometer run. Another reasonably fast 1 kilometer split for me, which I was happy with. Going into the 80 meter burpee broad jumps was for me by far the most challenging of the stations. Around 5 or 6 burpees in, I was in real trouble. I was using the step up and in technique to conserve energy, but every time I stepped up, I felt a twinge in my hamstring, which was getting worse with each burpee. So I swapped this out for the less energy efficient squat thrust jump up when coming up off the floor, with both legs coming in together, and thankfully with that the hamstring strain passed. I weigh around 79 kilograms and I'm 6'2", and while burpee shouldn't be that taxing, the whole getting the body all the way down and all the way up just doesn't go particularly well for me. So this is definitely a station I know I need to be working on my aerobic capacity on in the future. On crossing the line with that last burpee, I was pretty happy knowing that the hardest stations for me was behind me, and this was now a case of digging deep and enjoying the rest of the race. So back onto the track with the 5K run, then onto the rowing ski erg. At this point of the race, it's nice to get a few minutes sitting down. Similar to the ski erg, in hindsight, I probably could have gone a little harder here. There's a real continuous tension and careful calibration for each of us to make in needing to flip between recovering and recouping for the next 1 kilometer run or exercise station, whilst at the same time going fast enough that you're pushing yourself to the edge, but not over and into that 90% zone 5 threshold, that you've got nothing left in the tank for these later stages, when the endurance side of things really starts to kick in. Now back out onto another 1 kilometer run, slightly faster than last time, but still 10 seconds off or so my shy best kilometer split, and then into the kettlebell farmer's carry. This was the biggest surprise of the whole race. I'd done a fair bit of practice on this station, normally in a gym using my Apple indoor workout app to measure the distance. The Apple Watch is notorious for getting things inaccurate in distance, and I can only assume I've been training and walking significantly over the 200 meters, as I'd never managed to do this unbroken in training before. Yet on race day, I seem to find it in me to just keep going, even overtaking a few people on the way. I had a swig of Red Bull on the way into this exercise station, so maybe that gave me the wings for this station, who knows. Either way, I was in and out before I knew it, and back out onto the 7th kilometer of running, with another acceptable time from my point of view of 5 minutes and 17 seconds, and then into the lunges. I felt good and strong going into the lunges. I got the bag up and onto my shoulders quickly and started getting going. But then about 2 or 3 lunges in, I was in serious trouble with agonizing cramps every time I came up off the floor. Rather than pushing through, I knew I needed to stop, stand still, try and relax and let the blood and oxygen flow. Doing that every 3 steps and constantly trying to get the body to relax and not seize up seemed to do the job. And while it was a slow and steady progress, the cramps became less frequent and intense, and I went on. Then into and onto the final kilometer run. The legs are really done after all those lunges, so not surprising the slowest split kilometer run so far at 6 minutes and 9 seconds. Then into those final 100 wall balls. This is one of the most intense parts of the race for a number of reasons. The finish line is in sight. The judge stood by you is counting your wall balls throughout and suddenly becomes a key person in your race. It was the one station where this person who was scoring was also coaching me mentally, helping you and me see a way through, encouraging on the way. At the same time, it's the station where your family and friends can get really close to the action. The music's booming and the MCs on the mics are motivating. Breaking the wall balls down into sets of 20, 15 and then 10, taking 20 seconds or so between sets to get the oxygen flowing, then hitting that golden 97, 98, 99 and 100, and we're done, crossing the finish line in just over an hour and 30 minutes. Having aimed to go sub 1 hour 30, I was happy with the result. I hope you found this breakdown of the Hyrox race helpful. Good luck for your next race. See you in the next one.